Welcome back to Wyckoff Labs. Today we have another trade from one of our viewers. His name is Martin and he sent me this last week in order to see what he could improve. This was a blunder and he got stopped out trying to go with a trend. But let's see what he did wrong and how he can change those little things in order to transform from a bad trade into a good trade. I will see you after the intro and we will get started.
Studied the tape till my eyes went red. Every loser taught me, every win kept me fed.
First is first, what do we have in the background? We have a trading range right here that it turns out to be a distribution. Okay, now let's just go a little bit over the trading range to understand a couple of things. One, the cause. How much was this trading range? And it feels that it was pretty long. It was since September. This is a daily chart, so each bar is 1 day until April. So 7 months ish. Plenty to have more than just this push down. Good. Step number 1 is good. Now we have here a buying climax, a secondary change of behavior, secondary test right here, and then an upthrust after distribution, and then LPSY, and then drop. Great. Now we don't know if he was using Wyckoff, but what he sent me in the email is that he was looking at the swings. Let's look at the swings. We have swing this one, nothing here. This, smaller than this. Because of that, we have a higher demand. But immediately we push below and it's better than this other one. Good. Now, exhaustion of both, probably because of these two parts, both fighting. So absorption and then exhaustion. From here we have another attempt to go up, not succeeding, and then drop aggressively into support and below the previous support from here. Good. At this point, this is the strongest swing that we have. Good. If that's the strongest swing that we have, what is next? Maybe something like this or worse. In this case, we had a little bit better than this other one, here, because we are at support. So of course, demand came in and attempted to go up. If you enjoy this type of content, I would appreciate if you would give me a sub, a thumbs up, and a comment below. As a small content creator, I am fighting with YouTube's algorithm, and I am buried down below. I am not getting the views that this type of analysis deserve. So if you enjoy this content, I will appreciate your help. Thank you, and let's continue. Okay, from here we had the drop down, retest, attempting to go down again. So we have the attempting to go down again, and then we said upthrust after distribution, upthrust after distribution, and then down. Now I transformed back into Wyckoff, but let's see the swings here. This push up was better than this one, great. This was weaker than this one, so both were more volume, more CO, buying and selling at the same time here, and that's why we have both improved here, well, here. And then this leg up, that it is better than this one here. Good. If this leg up is better than this other one, we may expect what? A possible leg down weaker than this one. Did we have that? Let's see. This is this leg and this is this leg? Not really. As you can see by distance, they're probably similar, but impulses. This was more aggressive, attempt to retest, and then drop with some attempt to push down here and some exhaustion of the demand. Here was directly pushed down aggressively, much more. Meaning that this is our best leg down for now. And then this one. That means that we are improving to go down. Okay. Now, if we improved going down, we expect what? We expect this to be worse here. And now, here is where we have to see a couple of things. One, it has a support right here. We don't know where this goes because there is nothing on the screen that he made to the left. But this support should be for a reason. So if this is a valid support, we expect what? A rally. A rally. That's number one thing. Two, the question is, are we taking this like this? Or are we taking this like this? The answer is depending on what do you trade. If you are looking to enter here and have a quick rally, this is valid. If you are going longer with a trade, you are waiting for a confirmation. And the confirmation is what? This is a possible test and then to drop more. Yes. So this could be an entry point as the test, not where he entered right here. He entered at support. So wait for that test before you know what is going to happen next. So if you are at support, there will be demand coming in for sure. Look what that support is going to do. And then realize if you are absorbing the supply that wants to push down, or you are getting absorbed by the supply and you guys are going to continue to go down. All right, that's why the test, because it will tell you what is next. So let's go to the next screen, just because we're going to see better the trade. Okay. So this was the trade. So because we have a trading range right here, this is right here, selling climax, change of behavior, secondary test. Now, a little bit deeper, we see what? This was very aggressive, more aggressive than this. So it could trick you that you are going to go down. It could trick me that could go down 100%, because you see this aggression and it will show you that you have chances of going down. Good. Now a couple of things. One, very high volume. That means a lot of demand is around here as a stopping action. What they are doing, they are stopping. Good. The second attempt down starts somewhere from here. I'm pretty bad at this. And then we do what? We exhaust. The same way that we exhaust here. And actually look at the volume. This is the volume here and this is the average volume there, right? This is the volume here. Let me clean. This is the volume here and this is the volume here, other than one or two spikes that are up here. So supply just came in after the change of behavior. Good. Now we see what? Exhaustion of the sellers. They don't really have too much to push down. How to confirm that they are just not moving easier down? Well, we are looking at what's going to happen again at support. What do we do at support? We check for demand. We check for buyers. And how do we see in this case if sellers are exhausted or if more buyers are coming in comparing to here and here? Let's go a little bit deeper. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bars. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bars. So yeah, this is the push down. Then we have some demand in here. Yes. Right next to it, we have this attempt to push down, that the volume is pretty similar, but we are doing what? We are not achieving the breakthrough. That means what? There is a lot of demand in this bar hidden. Even if the bar is red, even if we pushed below, there is at least 45% of buyers hidden in that bar. Okay. Now, let's continue. Next is what? This other green bar. Look at the volume between one another. And now let's look at the bars. Those two greens versus those 2 or 3 red ones. Says what? Demand is here and sellers are temporarily exhausted. So we are not going down. No matter what, we are not going down. We may have just a temporary test, or in this case, we pushed into a global test back into the previous distribution. We crossed this support right here. Now, if we waited for the support to see the reaction of that demand, we see what? We see this versus what? Versus this. Let's analyze a little bit deeper this too, because even there will actually tell you that there will be more demand. How? Here we have one local swing, push down, continuation of the local swing. So the journey is something like this, this, and this. Okay. Comparing to here, the journey was before this, and now the journey is like this. Interesting. Now let's look at the volume. These spikes with this exhaustion in the middle. Comparing to here, there is high volume because we are going against this trend, but it's cleaner. Good. Stopping action into the support. Stopping action into the support, the way that we said it before. And then we are waiting for what? For something like this. So we are waiting for something better than the previous one because we were not able to break. We were not able to break through here, so we will wait for something better than this one. What is better than this one? Could be this much. What I would say, the previous push up plus a 30%. This is probably a 30%. Okay. What do you have to do in order to improve this trade? Because we're going to go over the evaluations in a bit, and you're going to see that this is not a terrible trade, but you just have a couple of bad timing, I will say. 1. At support, wait for the demand to exhaust and go with a secondary test, or an upthrust as LPSY here, right? In this case is low here, so this is easy, very understandable that you are going down from here. Okay. 2. Look for a test of the support and then go up with them. We have these points here. We know that this is going to be a local good trade. Okay. 2. If you do that, your stop loss will change because your stop loss at this point where you are, because you entered right here, your stop loss had to be here. And let's see why you put the stop loss here. Probably because of this selling zone. Okay, but right here you have the support. So usually we test support depending on how much strength we have. And we saw that there is more strength here and here. So if we are testing support, you could have get kicked out even on this one and not even waiting on this one. So it would have been just against the trend. Now, if you wait for the test, let's just say this is your test and you don't know that we actually have another leg up, okay, and your stop loss is here. Look at this distance and look at your distance. The stop loss is better and smaller. Okay. Now, if we wait for the secondary test, because we've seen that Amazon does that as an upthrust after distribution here local, right? Upthrust after distribution. Then we could wait for exhaustion at those levels. This is probably support right here, here. Sure, local. So is a local resistance support. Well, support resistance. And then we will look deeper bar by bar and understanding what? If we are going deeper into this bar by bar, we see what? That we are exhausting. We are exhausting demand. Let's go into the, I think that goes here and then boom. No volume. We are exhausting demand. Why? Because we are at a global test. And because demand is not there, we have what? A breakthrough, test, and push down. And that would have been the perfect trade. We had this leg down, this improved leg down, then improved leg up, that we are reaching 60%, 65%. Here we are reaching pretty much the same, because this was worse and this was worse than these two. So yes, a 60-65% both of them. Okay, and now if we have those legs, 1, 2, and then we have the third leg right here, we see what? We see that this leg, it is a little bit worse than this one. By what? By character, by volume, and by distance, extension. So if we know that, and if we are in this trade here, and we have this support here that again we don't see what is on the side, but should be something, and your take profit was around here, we are expecting what? Demand, retest, and now we are seeing what? This is worse than this. So we are expecting what? Something better than this. Another entry point right there. We could come into the previous resistance. Okay, let's go over the evaluations, and I'm going to try to elaborate on what you have to work on here, because again, this was not a terrible trade. There are just a couple of things that you have to work on to take this trade from losing money into taking profit. 1, the bias. The bias is not as clear as we think in this case. Why? Usually, well, you enter here to go down, bias is up, you're done. What do we see next? Bias was good, just not great. Together with the timing, character, and point of entries, this was a bad trade, but the bias was well predicted, probably because improvement of this swing and this other swing. Okay, then bias is 50% in this case. Bias still went down, but just not in the right time. Okay, good. Now, timing is where everything starts to fall apart. 1. Add support. 2. With the stopping action of the volume and with the trend before a test. Always wait for a test and your trading will improve exponentially. I actually had this issue, probably we all have the same issue, and we enter with FOMO and we entered at the top, or in this case at the bottom, and then immediately comes back against you. Why? Well, bad luck many times. FOMO, and the most important one, did not wait for a test. If you wait for a test, your chances of improving that trade just explodes. So wait for a test and you're good. So timing is 0. Character. Now, character, you probably saw this and you thought that you're gonna have at least another leg here, similar or worse, but you are already, just look at this leg down and this leg down, it already improved. If you see just that and nothing else, we know what, even if we enter here and this didn't happen, we have this much maximum because it's a very strong leg down. There will be a backup. And with that said, this is not worth to risk your stop loss in order to make the profit that you were waiting for. The RRR is not good enough. Risk reward ratio. Okay, it's probably even less than 1-to-1. Character. Because you saw this and you thought that it's gonna go down without thinking where you are, character is 0. We had another leg down similar to this one, but after a local trading range. Point of entry. Unfortunately, point of entry comes here with the timing at support. This will be a much better point of entry, or this one, or this one, or this one, or this one, right? And for those who are more aggressive, probably here, but nothing else before that. So point of entry, 0. Stop loss. The stop loss is, I am a little bit confused of why you put it up here. And I'm thinking because of this selling zone. But the selling zone is, let's clean this. You are looking just at this bar, but this bar is actually an extension into here. So the total absolute power of this one bar was from here into here, meaning what? The selling zone is not here, just a local selling zone. The selling zone is here. Why? The total absolute power of that bar is where the selling zone started, and that is where all the sellers pushed strong. Here we even have a 50 to 60% buyers. Why? Because right after we have a stopping action with 3 bars. Local, and there were not enough buyers, sure, but they were right there. So stop loss by itself is not great, and it should have been better into this area, and it's too big because of your entry point. Now I would give you a 50% just because you had the stop loss, and that's already important. So stop loss 50%, but make sure that your point of entry with your stop loss work together. And if you see that the stop loss where you want to enter before you enter is just too big, it gives you the reasoning that you should not be in that trade. Do not take risky trades or too risky trades just because you want to be in a trade. Patience, my friend. Alright, last but not least, exit. One good thing is that you held to your stop loss and you got out where you got kicked out. So I will give you this 100%. But remember to improve the point of entry, and with that will improve automatically the stop loss, and with that will improve your percentage of winning the trade. Good. Now, after talking of all of these evaluations together, this is about 33%. Unfortunately, this is a blunder, but we now know what to work on. We work on timing, point of entry, and character comes with those two, because after a backup you are going to know what to wait depending on the backup strength. Now you know what is going to have enough power to push through or not. Alright guys, this is it for today. We had a bad trade that by very little we could improve it and actually make good profit out of it. We know how to fix, so let's work on that for this next week. And for everyone who wants me to analyze one of your trades like this one, send me a screenshot, send me your ideas of what happened, your entry point, stop loss, take profit, and elaborate on the thoughts, and I will analyze the trade in the next video. All right, thank you, and I will see you next week.
I feel it building, pressure in my chest. Wick try to take me.